Recently, Delhi, Mumbai, and Kolkata were among the world's 10 most polluted cities, according to a Swiss air quality technology company, IQ Air. Causes of air pollution in cities. Burning of fossil fuels. Most air pollution occurs due to the incomplete burning of fossil fuels. These include coal, oil, and gasoline to produce energy for electricity or transportation. Industrial emission, particulate matter, PM, 2.5 and 10, NO2, SO2, and CO are key pollutants that are emitted from industries. Open burning of garbage waste. Open air garbage burning releases toxins such as black carbon, soot, and carcinogens. It actively contributes to pollution and in turn to the greenhouse effect. Construction and demolition. Construction and demolition sites are a rich source of PM and other air pollutants including volatile organic compounds, VOX, etc. Indoor air pollution. Use of toxic products, also called VOX, inadequate ventilation, uneven temperature, and humidity level can cause indoor air pollution. Some agricultural practices, like stubble burning and use of fertilizers and pesticides in agriculture, can release ammonia. Also, livestock farming is one of the major contributors to methane emissions. Variations due to geographic processes. Change in weather patterns. For example, a dip in La Niña, cooling of the ocean surface and change in wind patterns, partially caused the recent spike in PM in coastal cities, including Mumbai. Dust storms, wildfires, and natural sources of pollution also impact air quality in various regions of India. E.g., the temperature difference between the city and nearby hills draws winds and dust from areas like Navi Mumbai towards the city. Impacts of urban air pollution. Adverse health outcomes. It increases the risk of respiratory infections, heart disease, and lung cancer. Children, elderly, and poor people are more susceptible. Climate change. Certain air pollutants, such as black carbon, soot, and methane, contribute to climate change. Methane is a potent greenhouse gas, contributing to global warming. Environmental damage. Air pollution contributes to environmental degradation, including damage to ecosystems, soil, and water bodies. For instance, acid rain, resulting from the release of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides, can harm forests, aquatic systems, and soil quality. Reduced agricultural productivity. Ground-level ozone damages plant tissues, affecting photosynthesis, and reducing crop productivity. Particulate matter can also get deposited on crops, affecting their growth. Economic costs. Health impacts of air pollution result in significant economic costs, including healthcare expenses, lost productivity due to illness, and the cost of premature mortality. Environmental damage and reduced agricultural productivity can impact various sectors of the economy. 55 www.visioneers.nwa.visioneers.in Copyright symbol Vision IAS. Regulatory measures taken to improve air quality. Vehicular emission. BSIV to BSVI norms and introduction of cleaner, alternate fuels like CNG, LPG, and ethanol blending in petrol. Faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles, FAME-2 scheme has been rolled out. Industrial emissions. Ban on the use of pet coke and furnace oil in NCR, use of pet coke in processes in cement plants, lime kilns, and calcium carbide manufacturing units. Shifting of brick kilns in Delhi NCR to zigzag technology, zigzagging the airflow in brick kilns for reduction of pollution. Air pollution due to dust and burning of waste. Extended producer responsibility (EPR) framework for plastic packaging, battery waste, tire waste, and e-waste have been implemented. Monitoring of ambient air quality. System of Air Quality and Weather Forecasting and Research (SAFAR) was launched to know the air quality and overall city pollution and location-specific air quality through AQI. National Clean Air Program, NCAP envisages to achieve reductions up to 40% or achievement of national ambient air quality standards for PM10 concentrations by 2025 to 26. Way ahead. Reduce emissions by optimizing power sector. Inefficient power plant systems could be replaced by efficient superthermal plants or with power generators that are based on renewable energy. Implementing a national emissions trading system, a market-based instrument within a regulatory framework based on the concept of polluters pay, could be implemented. Similar models exist in the European Union emissions trading system. Implementation of a business model to utilize crop residue, direct procurement of crop residue by large agro-waste management companies, interstate trading for paddy stubble. Tackle city dust through ULBs, undertaking reforestation and afforestation drive along roadsides, covering landfills with vegetation. Decarbonization of the transport sector, declaring some expressways and national highways as green freight corridors. 5.1.1 Stubble burning. Why in the news? Supreme Court directed Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Delhi to stop stubble burning immediately, which is considered a major cause of air pollution in Delhi. About stubble, parley, burning. Stubble burning is a process of setting on fire the straw stubble left after the harvesting of grains, like paddy, wheat, etc. It is usually required in areas that use the combined harvesting method, which leaves crop residue behind. Global success stories to combat air pollution. Seoul, Republic of Korea, 5G-enabled autonomous robots scan industrial complexes to monitor air quality, while a satellite monitoring system offers real-time air quality data to the public. Bogota, Colombia, strict emission standards on trucks and other heavy polluting vehicles, a fully electric metro rail system, etc. Spain, 4-day work week trial in Spain leads to healthier workers, less pollution. Southern California, electric cars, ship at port electrification, cleaner fuel for trucks, ships and trains, and mandatory installation of newer and cleaner engines. 56 www. Reasons why farmers burn the stubble. Time constraints. In many agricultural regions, there is a narrow window between the harvest of one crop and the sowing of the next. Stubble burning is seen as a quick and efficient way to clear fields. For example, in Punjab and Haryana, there is only a 2 to 3 week time between cropping cycles. Increased mechanization of harvesting. Use of mechanized harvesters leaves stubble of 10 to 30 centimeters in the field, depending on the type of crop, which was not the case earlier with manual harvesting. Labor shortage. Use of expensive labor for stubble extraction is not feasible. Costs are high, especially in Punjab and Haryana, where farm sizes are large, and the use of mechanized harvesters is common. No market for crop residue. Low commercial and economic value of crop residue, coupled with the high cost of processing, reduces its value for farmers. Tradition and conventional practices. Stubble burning has been a long-standing practice in some agricultural communities and is considered a traditional approach passed down through generations. Pest and disease management. Farmers view burning the stubble can help eliminate pests, diseases, and weed seeds that may be present in the crop residue. Access to resources. Limited access to resources such as equipment for residue management also indirectly encourages stubble burning. Impact of stubble burning. Pollution. Stubble burning emits toxic pollutants in the atmosphere containing harmful gases like carbon monoxide, CO, methane, CH4, carcinogenic polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and volatile organic compounds, VOC. These pollutants disperse in the surroundings and eventually affect air quality and people's health by forming a thick blanket of smog. Soil fertility. Soil becomes less fertile, and its nutrients are destroyed when the husk is burned on the ground. Burning paddy straw radiates heat that kills fungus and bacteria, which are essential for soil fertility. Heat penetration. Stubble burning generates heat that penetrates the soil, causing an increase in erosion and loss of useful microbes and moisture. Impact on biodiversity. Fires can destroy habitats for various wildlife species, such as insects, birds, and small mammals, which may rely on crop residues for shelter or food. Regulatory measures and policies. National Policy for Management of Crop Residue, NPMCR, 2014, envisages adoption of technical measures including diversified uses of crop residue, capacity building, and training along with formulation of suitable law or legislation. National Green Tribunal, NGT, had issued the following directions in 2015. Mechanism for collection of crop residue, transportation, and utilization to be evolved. For persistent defaulters of crop residue burning, appropriate coercive and punitive action could be taken. Every state must provide machines, mechanisms, and equipment, or cost to the farmers to remove, collect, and store straws. Commission on Air Quality Management in NCR and adjoining areas, CAQM, has developed an action plan for effective prevention and control of stubble burning. Institute crop residue management, setting up of custom hiring centers, high yield, and short duration paddy varieties, staggering of harvesting schedule, extensive use of biodecomposer. Institute crop residue management, alternative usage of paddy straw viz. Biomass power projects, co-firing in thermal power plants, feedstock for 2G ethanol plants, feedstock in compressed biogas plants, fuel in industrial boilers, WTE plants, packaging materials, etc. 57 www. Crop Diversification Program, CDP, a sub-scheme of Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, RKVY, in Haryana, Punjab, and Western Uttar Pradesh since 2013 to 14 to divert the area of water-intensive paddy crop to alternative crops like pulses, oilseeds, etc. Government is implementing a scheme for the promotion of agricultural mechanization for in-situ management of crop residue in the states of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, and the National Capital Territory, NCT, of Delhi. Way forward. New and improved seed varieties. Recently, the Indian Agricultural Research Institute has developed a high-yielding short-duration variety namely Pusa 2090. The Pusa 2090 variety matures in only 120 to 125 days, as compared to currently Pusa 44, which takes 155 to 160 days to mature. New paddy variety will give around 30 days time to farmers to ready their fields for the next crop. Innovative farm technologies, employing agricultural machines like Happy Seeder, Rotavator, baler, paddy straw chopper, etc. As these machines are cost-intensive, the government could provide adequate subsidies to make these machinery affordable for farmers. Biogas plants can curb crop burning. These plants are installed by the government under Waste to Energy Mission, and they generate biogas by utilizing crop waste such as rice straw through biomethanation technology. Pusa biodecomposer, developed by scientists at the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, which turns crop residue into manure in 15 to 20 days by accelerating the decomposition process. Educating and empowering the stakeholders, educating and empowering the farming community could be an important step to making a significant impact. Encouraging sustainable alternatives to crop residue management. Mulching. Mulching involves spreading crop residues on the soil surface as a protective layer. Zero-till farming. It minimizes soil disturbance and relies on the direct planting of seeds into crop residues. Residue incorporation. Instead of burning crop residues, farmers can incorporate them into the soil. Techniques like chiseling and plowing help bury crop residues, enriching the soil with organic matter and nutrients. 5.1.2 Cloud seeding. Why in the news? Researchers discuss the possibility of using cloud seeding to tackle Delhi's air pollution. About cloud seeding. Cloud seeding. It is a weather modification technique to enhance precipitation by dispersing substances into the air that help to saturate the clouds. The process. It starts with identifying suitable clouds through weather analysis using aircraft or ground-based generators. Following this, seeding agents are released into the targeted clouds. Seeding particles help in the formation of larger water droplets, which leads to increased rainfall. 58 www.visioneers. Chemicals used to initiate cloud seeding. Clouds are injected with salts such as silver iodide, potassium iodide, sodium chloride, or dry ice solid carbon dioxide, which acts as the seed. These salts are dispersed to provide additional nuclei around which more cloud droplets can form. Conditions required for cloud seeding to be effective. Cloud type. Not all clouds are suitable for seeding. Clouds should be deep enough and have a suitable temperature, typically between -10 and -12 degrees Celsius. Cloudiness. Clouds should cover at least 50% of the target area. Wind. Wind speeds should be below a certain level. Humidity. Cloud seeding tends to be less effective when relative humidity is less than 75%. Temperature. Clouds should be cold enough to contain supercooled liquid water. Methods of cloud seeding. Hygroscopic cloud seeding. It involves dispersing salts through flares or explosives in lower portions of clouds. Following the dispersal, the salts grow in size. It has proved to have positive results in research conducted by countries such as South Africa and Mexico. Use of electrical charges. Electrical charges work similarly to silver iodide by helping water droplets to merge and form precipitation. In 2010, researchers from the University of Geneva directed infrared to the air above Berlin. The experiment showed that infrared can help atmospheric sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide form particles that act as seeds and cause rainfall. Applications of artificial rain using cloud seeding. Agriculture. It helps to create rain, which can provide relief to drought-stricken areas. For example, the Karnataka government, in 2017, launched Project Varshadri, under which an aircraft was used to spray chemicals to induce rainfall. Power generation. Cloud seeding method has been shown to augment the production of hydroelectricity, enhancing rainfall in catchment areas in Tasmania, Australia, during the last 40 years. Water pollution control. The process of cloud seeding can maintain minimum river flows and dilute the impact of treated wastewater discharges from industries. Minimum river flows refer to minimum quantity of water or ecological flow that various stretches of the river must necessarily have through the year. Fog dispersal and cyclone modification. During winters, cloud seeding is initiated to increase the mountain snowpack to ensure that additional runoff is received during the spring melt season. For example, USA in 1962 launched Project Skywater, aimed at fog dispersal, hail suppression, and cyclone modification. Controlling forest fires. In regions prone to wildfires, cloud seeding can be used to induce rainfall and help extinguish fires, preventing the release of smoke and pollutants into the atmosphere. How artificial rain can help tackle pollution. Clearing the atmosphere, rainfall induced through cloud seeding can help remove particulate matter and pollutants from the air. Reduction of airborne pollutants. Artificial rain can assist in reducing concentration of pollutants, including dust, smoke, and chemicals, by washing them out of the atmosphere and depositing them on the ground. Mitigating smog and haze. Cloud seeding can help disperse smog and haze, making the air clearer and more breathable. 59 www.visioneers.nwa.visioneers. Research and experimental studies to better understand atmospheric processes, cloud physics, and potential impacts of weather modification. Issues with inducing artificial rains. Side effects. The chemicals used in cloud seeding may cause harm to plants, animals, people, and even the environment. For example, silver iodide, the material used in cloud seeding, can be toxic to aquatic life. Abnormal weather patterns. It may lead to changes in climatic patterns, interfering with local weather patterns. High cost. Cloud seeding involves dispersing chemicals to the sky using aircraft or flare shots, which involves huge costs and logistic preparations. Ethical and legal challenges. Issues related to water rights and environmental impact. Also, ethical considerations regarding human intervention in natural processes raise questions about different communities' rights to natural resources. Conclusion. Collaborative efforts between scientists, policymakers, and the public are crucial to establish clear guidelines, ethical standards, and regulatory frameworks for the responsible implementation of cloud seeding projects. Also, dedicated research is necessary to understand the long-term impacts of cloud seeding on ecosystems, weather patterns, and human health. 5.2 United Nations Forum on Forests. Why in the news? India hosted a country-led initiative, CLI, event as part of the United Nations Forum on Forests, UNFF, in Dehradun, Uttarakhand. More about the news. United Nations Forum on Forests, UNFF, was established in 2000 by the resolution of the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations, ECOSOC. UNFF promotes the management, conservation, and sustainable development of all types of forests. India holds the distinction of being a founding member of UNFF. Country-led initiative, CLI's primary goal is to contribute to the discussions of UNFF regarding the implementation of sustainable forest management and the UN Strategic Plan for Forests, the UNSPF. It also aims to facilitate the sharing of best practices among UNFF member states for the implementation of SFM and the UNSPF. India-led CLI focused on one of the themes of forest certification and sustainable forest management, SFM. Forest certification. Forest certification is a market mechanism to promote the sustainable use and management of forests and to identify sustainably produced products for the consumer. Some countries consider forest certification as an effective means to ensure sustainable forest management, SFM, and a tool for preventing forest degradation or deforestation. It is a voluntary process whereby an independent third party, the certifier, assesses the quality of forest management and production against a set of requirements, standards, predetermined by a public or private certification organization. Types. There are two types of forest certification: certification of forest management, which assesses whether forests are being managed according to a specified set of standards, and 60 www.visioneers.nwa. Certification of the chain of custody, COSI certification, which verifies that certified material is identified or kept separate from non-certified or non-controlled material. Total forest area under certification has increased by 35%, or 120 million hectares, since 2010. Developing countries continue to face several challenges such as excessive costs of certification, audit and compliance issues, inaccessibility to forest owners in remote regions, and lack of capacity due to the complexity of various certification standards. Sustainable forest management, SFM. Definition. According to Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, SFM is the stewardship and use of forests and forest lands in a way, and at a rate, that maintains their biodiversity, productivity, regeneration capacity, vitality, and maintains their potential to fulfill, now and in the future, relevant ecological, economic, and social functions, at local, national, and global levels, and does not cause damage to other ecosystems. Constituents. It implies various degrees of human intervention, ranging from administrative, legal, technical, economic, social and environmental actions, aimed at safeguarding and maintaining forest ecosystems. Outcomes. Sustainably managed forests provide important ecosystem services, such as carbon sequestration, biodiversity conservation, and the protection of water resources. Need for sustainable forest management. Biodiversity conservation by maintaining ecosystems, protecting endangered species, and allowing for natural regeneration. Tackling climate change. Forests act as carbon sinks, playing a crucial role in mitigating climate change, and SFM is essential to minimizing the impact of climate change. Community development. Forests are the lifeline of millions of people in India, especially the tribal communities, and forest conservation cannot be isolated from the well-being of communities that rely on forest resources. Forest fire management. In recent years, the world has witnessed an alarming increase in the scale and duration of wildfires. 61 www.visioneers. Approximately 100 million hectares, equivalent to 3% of the world's forest area, is affected by fires every year. 62% of Indian states are prone to high-intensity forest fires. Traditional knowledge. Forests are a repository of medicinal plants and traditional knowledge. Measures taken by India for SFM legislative framework. India has enacted various conservation-oriented legislations, such as the Forest Conservation Act (FCA) 1980, the Indian Forest Act 1927, and Wildlife Protection Act 1972, etc. For instance, the FCA allows the government to declare specific areas as reserved or protected forests, restricting degrading activities. Joint Forest Management (JFM) involves the collaboration between forest authorities and local communities for the protection and management of forests. Afforestation and reforestation programs. Initiatives like the National Afforestation Program (NAP), Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority (CAMPA), Green Highways Program, etc. Technology adoption. Use of technology, such as Geographic Information System (GIS) mapping, satellite imagery, and remote sensing, assists in monitoring and managing forest resources. Development of standards. Through Bhopal India process, India developed its national set of 8 criteria and 37 indicators for sustainable management of its natural forests. Community forest rights. The Forest Rights Act 2006 recognizes and vests forest rights in forest-dwelling communities, thus harnessing the knowledge and capability of indigenous people in SFM. Way forward. India's proposal. India proposed to launch Gandhinagar Implementation Roadmap and Gandhinagar Information Platform that emanated from the G20 deliberations to tackle restoration of forest fire and mining degraded lands. Global standards. Setting up global benchmark standards for forest certification, conservation practices, and forest fire management. Integrated fire management strategy. A concerted approach to the prevention, management, and restoration of forest fires and policy interventions. Promoting the use of global fire management hub for sharing of best practices. Community development, livelihood improvement programs and incorporating incentive schemes while formulating forest management policies. Cooperation, promote regional and international cooperation and coordination among governments to address subnational and transboundary forest fire issues. 5.3 Climate Change and Children. Why in the news? Recently, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, released 2 reports titled Children Displaced in a Changing Climate and The Climate Change Child, a Children's Climate Risk Index Supplement. More about the news. The report establishes the critical connection between climate, mobility, and childhood. As per the report, millions of children are being driven from their homes by weather-related events, exacerbated by climate change. While the link between climate change and displacement is complex, it's clearer than ever that the climate is shifting patterns of displacement. 62 www.visioneers.nwa. Key findings of the reports. 3 countries dominate the results based on absolute numbers: the Philippines, India, and China, with a combined total of almost 23 million child displacements due to weather-related events between 2016 and 2021. The Supplement Index report examines 2 components: water scarcity, the physical availability of water; water vulnerability, the combination of water scarcity and lack of access to drinking water service. Key highlights of the Supplement Index: almost 1 billion children are exposed to high or extremely high water stress. India, Niger, Eritrea, Yemen, and Burkina Faso are among top 5 countries, which had the highest overall child exposure to high or extremely high water vulnerability. Factors behind children's vulnerability due to climate change. Physical capabilities. Because of their small surface-to-body ratio, infants and children are particularly vulnerable to dehydration and heat stress. For e.g. The UNICEF report predicts that by 2050, nearly 2.2 billion children, below 18 plus, worldwide will be at risk from frequent heat waves. Economic and social inequality. Children in poverty are more vulnerable to environmental shocks and stresses. As per the Oxfam India's report on inequality in India, the bottom 50% of the population possess only 3% of the wealth. Lack of access to key essential services, such as water, sanitation and hygiene, health, education, and social protection increase their vulnerability. As per WHO, around 1.4 million lives are lost each year due to inadequate water, sanitation, and hygiene. Less focus on children. In the global climate change discourse and financing, children most of the time get ignored. Only 2.4% of climate finance from key multilateral climate funds support projects incorporating child-responsive activities. Spend more time outdoors. Children these days tend to spend more time outdoors than adults, increasing their exposure to heat and cold, rain and snow, outdoor allergens, and insect bites. 63 www. Developing emotionally. Children are still at the developing stage emotionally, and thus are more prone to mental health impacts like trauma from extreme events. Way forward, the report talks about 3 Ps, i.e., protect, prepare, prioritize to tackle children's vulnerability towards climate change. Suggestions by the report: protect child critical services. Child critical services must be shock responsive, portable, and inclusive, including for children already uprooted. Prepare proactive steps. Prepare children and young people to live in a climate changed world by improving their adaptive capacities, resilience, and enabling their participation. Prioritize priority to already displaced children. Prioritize children and young people, including those already uprooted from their homes in climate, humanitarian, and development policy, action, and investments. Suggestions by the Supplement Index: including children concern in UNFCCC COP28, the elevation of children within the final COP28 cover decision, and an expert dialogue on children and climate change. Inclusion in Global Goal for Adaptation, GGA, the inclusion of children and climate resilient essential services within the final decision on the GGA. Funding mechanism: make the loss and damage fund and funding arrangements child responsive with child rights embedded in the fund's governance and decision-making process. Global stocktake, GST, the embedding of children and intergeneration equity in the GST. 5.4 Green buildings. Why in the news? Recently, Indian Green Building Congress was held in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, by the Indian Green Building Council, IGBC. About green building. Green buildings usually refer to the use of environmentally friendly construction materials, processes, operation, and maintenance. The concept of a green building is driven by incentives to reduce the cost of energy and waste management considering global warming and environmental degradation. Some innovative solutions in green construction include cool roofs, geothermal heating, smart grid refrigerators, vegetated rooftops, etc. For example, Agrocrete is a carbon-negative building material made of crop residues such as paddy straw, wheat straw, sugarcane bagasse, etc. Carbon craft tile is made with upcycled carbon by using recovered carbon waste as a resource. The global green building materials market is projected to grow from $422.27 billion in 2023 to $951.15 billion by 2030, at a CAGR of 12.3%. Green buildings are different from energy efficient and net zero carbon buildings. Advantages of green buildings. Emission reduction. The building and construction sectors contribute about 38% of the greenhouse gas (GHG) emissions and account for 35% of the total energy consumption. 64W OLED certified green buildings consume 25% less energy than traditional buildings. Economic benefits. Green buildings have low operation and maintenance cost. Also, they improve occupant productivity and optimize life cycle economic performance. Social benefits. Enhance occupant comfort and health by ensuring clean air and water and less exposure to toxins and volatile organic compounds. Steps taken for green building promotion. Energy Conservation Building Code, ECBC, introduced in 2007, revised in 2017 by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, BEE. OECBC establishes minimum energy standards for new commercial buildings with a connected load of 100 kilowatts or a contract demand of 120 kVA or more. ECONI was SMETA 2018, launched by Ministry of Power. ECONI was Energy Conservation, New Indian Way for Affordable and Sustainable Homes. SMETA 2018 is ECBC for residential buildings. Green Rating for Integrated Habitat Assessment. GRIHA, jointly developed by the Energy and Resources Institute, TERI, and Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, MNRE. GRIHA uses a 5-star rating, valid for 5 years. Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, LEED, an internationally recognized certification system for green buildings developed by the U.S. Green Building Council. Recently, India outperformed USA and China in LEED net zero certifications. Star Rating of Commercial Buildings, launched by the Ministry of Power, for assessing energy usage in the building on a 1 to 5 scale, 5-star label buildings being the most efficient. Faster clearances. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, MOE FCC, offers fast-track environmental clearance for green building projects, which are pre-certified by IGBC. Challenges in adoption of green buildings. High initial construction cost. The high initial construction cost of green buildings also results in high rentals, making it challenging to attract investors and tenants. Issues in construction. The green building construction sector is fragmented around the world, which may lead to uncertain supply of green materials. Also, there is a limited access to design and skilled worker. Governance issues. Extension of project schedules, lack of research and developmental works, poor building code enforcement, high payback period are key hindrance. Limited awareness. There is a lack of awareness, information, and education about the benefits of green building, both private and public benefit. Way ahead. Economic incentives. Finance commissions and local bodies should encourage green buildings through tax incentives and other measures. Green projects need long-term investment, which banks can support through the issuance of green bonds. Banks can also offer construction loans with lower interest rates to incentivize developers. Policy measures. Fast-track clearance for green buildings. Enact legislation mandating green building standards for new constructions. 65 www.vision. Additionally, require the retrofitting of existing buildings to adopt environment-friendly practices and become more sustainable. Training and capacity building. Develop training modules and conduct training sessions for various industry stakeholders, including government officials, green rating agencies, architects, etc., to promote the adoption. Awareness campaigns. Creating awareness on green buildings at school, college, and university levels. This will enable educational institutions to develop industry-ready professionals trained on green concepts and facilitate industry-academia linkage. 5.5 National Efficient Cooking Program, NEP. Why in the news? Recently, Energy Efficiency Services Limited, EESL, launched the National Efficient Cooking Program, NECP, and Energy Efficient Fans Program, EEFP. About National Efficient Cooking Program, NECP. Scheme A, subset of the Clean Cooking Scheme. Aim, to revolutionize cooking practices in India. Target, to deploy 20 lakh induction-based cook stoves across India. Focus, non-solar electricity-based induction cook stoves, aligning with the Go Electric initiative by the Ministry of Power. Go Electric campaign aims to create awareness on the e-mobility ecosystem and benefits of electric cooking through information, communication, and education, ICE, activities. Other schemes for alternate cooking solutions are Nat Chula Abhiyan Program, 2014 for the promotion of improved biomass cook stoves in the country to reduce consumption of fuel wood with higher efficiency and low emissions. National Biogas and Manure Management Program, NBMMP for setting up a family-type household biogas plants to meet the cooking energy needs of rural and semi-urban areas. Promoting solar cookers to reduce indoor air pollution. Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, PMUY for providing them with clean cooking fuel through LPG. Significance of the initiative. Benefits of e-cooking, efficient and safer alternative to traditional gas and electric stoves with portability, convenience, and safety. Fulfilling rising demand for induction stoves. With over 10 million units sold in 2021 to 22, increased demand is attributed to factors like modular kitchens, rising LPG costs, and the versatility of cooking with induction. Carbon footprint reduction. These initiatives are aimed to enhance energy efficiency in Indian households and contribute to carbon mitigation goals. Economic savings. It offers a cost advantage of 25 to 30% over traditional cooking methods. Other benefits. Reduced dependence on imported sources of energy. No difference in food cooked on flame versus that cooked using induction cookers. Energy Efficient Fans Program aim, emphasizing on the importance and urgency of energy efficient fans. Target, to distribute 1 CR energy efficient fans that can reduce nearly 20% of total residential electricity consumption. 66 www. 5.6 Organic Farming. Why in the news? During the National Symposium on Promotion of Organic Products through Cooperatives, organic food products of National Cooperative Organics Limited, NCOL, were launched under brand name Bharat Organics. More about the news. 6 organic products were launched under the Bharat Organics brand: Tur dal, chana dal, sugar, rajma, basmati rice, and Sonamasuri rice. Concept of organic under one roof, i.e. a network of retail outlets for all organic products started through NCOL was also launched. NOCL is one of the 3 new cooperatives the government has set up. The other 2 cooperatives work in the field of certified seeds and exports. What is organic farming? It is a unique production management system that promotes and enhances agroecosystem health, including biodiversity, biological cycle, and soil biological activity. This is accomplished by using on-farm agronomic, biological, and mechanical methods in exclusion of all synthetic off-farm inputs. Benefits of organic farming for the environment: prohibits use of harmful pesticides, healthy soil, mitigate climate change through carbon sequestration, reduces erosion, cleaner water, stimulates biodiversity and microorganisms, ethical pasture-based systems, etc. For farmers, reduces the input cost, attract more customers, more resilient to extreme weather events, etc. For consumers, healthier, higher nutritional quality, etc. Organic vs natural farming. While both organic and natural farming are similar in certain aspects, such as prohibiting use of synthetic fertilizers, use of on-farm biomass management, and biological nutrient recycling, encouraging crop diversity, etc., they differ in certain aspects as well. Differences between organic and natural farming: organic farming, natural farming permits use of off-farm organic and biological inputs like compost, vermicompost, etc. No external inputs used on farmlands, only on-farm-based inputs used. Open for micronutrient correction through use of minerals. Use of minerals not allowed. Plowing, soil tilling, and weeding might be undertaken in organic farms. Mimics natural ecosystems: no plowing, no soil tilling, and no weeding done on natural farms. Major challenges for the organic farming sector: high input costs and low yields in the initial years of transitioning from conventional to organic farming. Inefficient supply chain for marketing and distribution of organic food products. Issues with certification process like presence of multiple certifications, complex and costly processes, and inadequate number of third-party accreditations. 67 www. Limited government support for agriculture inputs needed for organic farming, especially for biofertilizers and biopesticides. Lack of awareness among farmers related to production technologies, compost management, pest control, and the benefits of organic farming. Organic certification regime in India: National Program for Organic Production, NPOP system of process certification wherein an independent organization reviews the entire production, processing, handling, transport, etc. to ensure compliance with organic standards. Managed and operated by Agricultural and Processed Food Products Export Development Authority, APDA, under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. NPOP certified products can be traded in export and in domestic markets including import. Participatory Guarantee System of India, PSG India Quality Assurance Initiative that is locally relevant, emphasizes the participation of stakeholders, including producers and consumers, and operates outside the frame of third-party certification. Implemented by Department of Agriculture, Cooperation and Farmers Welfare, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. Jaivik Bharat logo: the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, FSSAI, has introduced the logo to communicate the adherence to the national organic standards, both PSG and NPOP. Other government initiatives for promoting organic farming: Pramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, a cluster pass program for the promotion of organic farming. National Project on Organic Farming. A national centre for organic farming was established at Ghaziabad to provide institutional support and to facilitate farmers for organic crop production. Organic Value Chain Development in Northeastern Region Scheme, to link growers with consumers to support the development of the entire value chain starting from inputs and seed certification in the Northeastern region. Organic e-commerce platform, www.jaivikheader.in, for directly linking farmers with retail and bulk buyers. The government would help 10 million farmers switch to natural or chemical balanced farming during the following 3 years, according to Budget 2023. State-level initiatives. Kerala's organic farming mission aimed at expanding organic farming to 5,000 hectares in Kerala in the next 5 years through an annual target of 1,000 hectares. Sikkim became the world's first 100% organic state. Way forward. Mobilizing and training farmers to produce on-farm input through farmer field schools, using information and communications tools. Encouraging local decentralized production of inputs for organic farming that utilizes local resources and generates village-level employment. Strengthening certification regime by simplifying processes, hand-holding farmers to obtain certifications, enhancing the number and reach of certifying agencies, etc. Incentivizing production of organic inputs through government subsidies, tax benefits, etc. Investing in building the capacity of small-scale manufacturers and entrepreneurs on composting techniques, quality assurance, and marketing and selling manure to upscale production. Enhancing the role of cooperatives to support organic farming. 68 WW 5.7 News in Shorts. 5.7.1 Climate Equality. Oxfam released a report titled Climate Equality, A Planet for the 99%. The report emphasizes on the climate breakdown and extreme inequality as twin challenges facing humanity. Key findings: in 2019, superrich 1% were responsible for 16% of global carbon emissions, equivalent to emissions of the poorest 66% of humanity. Since the 1990s, superrich 1% burned through twice as much of the carbon budget as the poorest half of humanity combined. The emissions of the 1% are said to be over 22 times more than the safe limit. The emissions allowed to stay below 1.5 degrees Celsius global warming in 2030. The emissions of the superrich 1% in 2019 are enough to cause 1.3 million deaths due to heat. Policy recommendations. Radical increase in equality. Governments must implement proven policies to dramatically drive down the gap between the richest and the rest. Fast and just transition away from fossil fuels. Implement a new wave of taxes on the corporations and billionaires to drive down emissions dramatically and fund transition. New purpose for a new age. Prioritize human and planetary well-being over endless profit, extraction and consumption. 5.7.2 Adaptation Gap Report 2023. The report is released by United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP. Adaptation is a process of reducing countries' and communities' vulnerability to climate change by increasing their impact absorption ability. Adaptation gap is the difference between implemented adaptation and societally set goals. It is determined by preferences related to climate change impacts and reflecting resource limitations and competing priorities. Key highlights of the report. Adaptation finance needs are 10 to 18 times higher than current public flows. O adaptation finance gap is expanding, now at 194 to 366 billion US dollars annually. O action plan on loss and damage has overlooked non-economic losses like cultural heritage and indigenous knowledge. O only 2% of gender-tagged international adaptation finance is gender responsive. Recommendations. O developed countries should double their climate finance for adaptation from 2019 levels by 2025. O increase and improve budget tagging and tracking for integrating adaptation into budget planning. O mobilize private investments by methods like resilience bonds and insurance. O leverage remittances, which often contribute significantly to gross domestic product. O financing small and medium enterprises, SMEs, stimulating them to offer adaptation-relevant products and services. O implementation of Article 2.1c of the Paris Agreement, making finance flows consistent with a pathway towards low-carbon and climate-resilient development. 69 www. 5.7.3 Paris Agreement Synthesis Report 2023. UNFCCC Secretariat released nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement Synthesis Report 2023. The report analyzed NDCs of 195 parties to the Paris Agreement. Key highlights: world is off track to Paris Agreement goals. Implementing latest NDCs will increase emissions by approximately 8.8% by 2030, relative to 2010 levels. Emissions need to be cut by 45% by 2030, compared to 2010 levels to achieve Paris Agreement goal, IPCC Report, 2018. Indigenous peoples and local communities. 40% of parties outlined the roles of local communities and rights of Indigenous peoples in adaptation components of NDCs. This includes addressing the specific vulnerabilities of Indigenous peoples, emphasizing the importance of utilizing Indigenous knowledge to enhance climate efforts, etc. Gender-sensitive approach. Parties are increasingly recognizing gender integration as a means to enhance the ambition and effectiveness of their climate action. Recommendation. To achieve emission peaking before 2030, essential factors include enhanced access to financial resources, technology transfer, availability of market-based mechanisms. UNFCCC Secretariat, UN Climate Change, is tasked with supporting the global response to the threat of climate change. United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, adopted in 1992, is the parent treaty of the Paris Agreement. 5.7.4 State of Climate Services Report 2023. World Meteorological Organization, WMO, released State of Climate Services Report for 2023. This year the annual report focuses on health. Key highlights: impact of climate change. Climate change may reverse decades of progress towards better health, particularly in the most vulnerable communities. Financing gap for air pollution. Air pollution is the fourth biggest killer by health risk factor, yet only 2% of international climate finance commitments go to tackle it. Underutilization of climate information. Climate information enhances public health prevention strategies and preparedness to save lives. 74% of national meteorological and hydrological services provide climate data to health actors, but utilization of these data remains limited. Climate services for health. It includes collaboration among partners to identify, access, generate, and use reliable climate knowledge for better health decisions. Such services are facing research and knowledge gaps, lack of access to sufficient local meteorological observations, insufficient human and institutional capacity, etc. 70 www.visioneers.nwa.vision. Recommendation. There is a need for tailored climate information and services to support the health sector. This can be achieved through developing in-country capacities to improve local knowledge, policy mandates for health and meteorological actors to collaborate, raising awareness about the importance of climate information. 5.7.5 Ice melt in West Antarctica. According to research, accelerated ice melt in West Antarctica is unstoppable. The researcher used a high-resolution computer model of the Amundsen Sea. Ocean-driven melting of floating ice shelves in the Amundsen Sea is the main process controlling sea level rise. The Amundsen Sea is located off the coast of West Antarctica. About ocean-driven melting of floating ice. It follows the following sequence. Melting causes the retreat of the grounding line, i.e. the line where the ice first goes afloat. It reduces the resistance to ice flowing across the grounding line. Faster flow near the grounding line causes more horizontal stretching, leading to thinning. It creates steeper surface slopes, which increases the stress that drives the ice forward. The faster flow inland causes thinning to propagate even further into the interior of the ice sheet, increasing the contribution to sea level rise. Impact of the recent revelation. Enormous impact on sea level. West Antarctic ice sheet, if completely lost, could contribute to sea level rise of up to 5 meters. Impact on coastal cities. Over a third of the global population resides within 100 kilometers of the coast, making them vulnerable to sea level rise. 5.7.6 Global Landscape of Climate Finance 2023 Report. The report is released by Climate Policy Initiative. Climate finance refers to financing, from public, private, and alternative sources, that seeks to support mitigation and adaptation actions to address climate change. Mitigation tackles the causes of climate change, whereas adaptation tackles the effects of climate change. Key highlights of the report: average annual climate finance flows reached almost $1.3 trillion in 2021 to 2022, nearly doubling than the previous year. China, US, Europe, Brazil, Japan, and India received 90% of increased climate finance. Climate finance is uneven across sectors. Energy and transport continue to attract the majority of flows. 71 www. Private actors provided 49% of total climate finance. Adaptation finance continues to lag, with 98% coming from the public sector. Recommendations: reforming international financial institutions, with rules and incentives aligned with climate needs. Leveraging concessional finance to expand private flows. Mainstreaming climate adaptation and resilience into financial systems. Phasing out unabated fossil fuels through just transition. Making climate finance data widely available and accessible. Work across countries to harmonize and enhance interoperability. Global Climate Finance Mechanisms, Global Environment Facility, established in 1992 Rio Earth Summit. It is a unique partnership of 18 agencies working with 183 countries to address the world's most challenging environmental issues. Adaptation Fund was established in 2001 to finance concrete adaptation projects and programs in developing countries parties to the Kyoto Protocol. Special Climate Change Fund, SCCF, was established in 2001 to finance projects relating to adaptation, technology transfer, and capacity building, energy, transport, etc. Least Developed Countries Fund, LDCF, was established to support a work program to assist least developed country parties in carrying out the preparation and implementation of national adaptation programs of action in NAPAS. Green Climate Fund, established under Cancun Agreements in 2010, is mandated to support developing countries in raising and realizing their nationally determined contributions, NDC, ambitions. 5.7.7, World's largest solar facilities. Recently launched Noor Abu Dhabi of the UAE is one of the world's largest standalone operational solar plants with a total capacity of 1.2 gigawatts. Other largest solar power plants, Badla Solar Park, multiple plants, in Rajasthan, has a capacity of 2.25 gigawatts. Pavagada Solar Park in Karnataka has a capacity of 2 gigawatts. Ramagundam Floating Solar PV Project at Ramagundam, Telangana, is India's largest floating solar power project, commissioned in 2022. Cochin International Airport is the world's first solar-powered airport. 5.7.8, Draft Guidelines to Prevent Greenwashing. Advertising Standards Council of India, ASCI, proposed draft guidelines for environmental green claims in advertising to make advertising free of greenwashing. OASCI was formed in 1985 as a self-regulatory organization by professionals from the advertising and media industry to keep Indian ads decent, fair, and honest. Greenwashing, also called green sheen, is a deceptive practice of making misleading environmental claims. Environmental claims mainly suggest or create an impression that a product or service has a neutral or positive impact and is less damaging to the environment. It utilizes different methods such as fibbing, make false claims such as net zero, green, ecological, etc., vagueness, non-specific about processes or materials used, etc. The term was coined by J. Westerveld in 1986. Proposed guidelines. Absolute claims such as environment-friendly, eco-friendly, sustainable, planet-friendly must be supported by a high level of substantiation. Environmental claims must be based on the full life cycle of the advertised product or service. Certifications and seals of approval should make clear which attributes of product or service have been evaluated. Claims of a product being compostable, biodegradable, recyclable, non-toxic, free of etc. should be based on reliable scientific evidence. 5.7.9, UNCD Data Dashboard. UN Convention to Combat Desertification, UNCCD, launched its first ever data dashboard. 72 www. It compiles national reporting figures from 126 countries, which shows that land degradation is advancing at an astonishing rate across all regions. Key findings. Between 2015 to 2019, at least 100 million hectares of healthy and productive land were degraded every year. India's 9.45% reported land area is degraded. Between 2016 to 2019, 50.49% of global reported land area and 36.8% of India's land area is affected by drought. Eastern and Central Asia, and Latin America, and Caribbean regions experience the most severe degradation. Land degradation is the deterioration or loss of productive capacity of the soils for present and future. 109 countries have set voluntary land degradation neutrality, LDN, targets for 2030. LDN is a state whereby the amount and quality of land resources necessary to support ecosystem functions and services to enhance food security remain stable, or increase, within specified ecosystems. India's initiative for land degradation, India joined voluntary bond challenge pledge to bring into restoration 26 million hectares of degraded and deforested land by 2030. Desertification and Land Degradation Atlas of India, 4 statewide areas of degraded land. The 5th of July, 10, Sand and Dust Storms, SDS. A report titled Sand and Dust Storms, SDS A Guide to Mitigation, Adaptation, Policy, and Risk Management Measures in Agriculture was released. In the report, Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, highlighted that SDS frequency is consistent with climate change projections. It indicates the expansion of global drylands, increased aridity, and worsening drought conditions. SDS occurs when strong, turbulent winds erode small particles from dryland surfaces with little or no vegetation cover. 75% of global dust comes from natural sources, and 25% from anthropogenic sources. Major anthropogenic factors responsible for SDS include land use change, agriculture, and deforestation. Implications of SDS. Affects 11 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. For instance, progress in SDG 6, clean water and sanitation, is disrupted as dust depositions are compromising water quality. Deposition of dust on glacier induces a warming effect and increases the melting of ice. Reduces agricultural yield due to sandblasting, damaged plants by impact, burial, and exposure of plant roots. Recommendations. Sustainable land and water management. Structural stabilization measurements through windbreaks, agroforestry, and afforestation. Risk impact assessment and vulnerability mapping. Strengthening of risk governance and increasing investment and financing in SDS risk reduction. The 5th of July, 11, red sanders removed from IST. 77th Sites Standing Committee meeting removed red sanders from review of significant trade, IST. Sites IST is a process where Standing Committee closely examines a country's species exports to ensure compliance with sites. Non-compliance may lead to disciplinary actions through trade suspensions. India has been under IST process for red sanders since 2004. Removal from IST will help farmers growing red sanders enter the supply chain of legitimate trade. 73 www.visioneers. Exemption from IST has been attributed to, among others, the 2022 Amended to Wildlife Protection Act, 1972. Amendment incorporated provisions of CITES as mandated under the CITES National Legislation Program, NLP. As a result, CITES Standing Committee has now moved India from Category 2 to Category 1. Under NLP, based on compliance level parties could be placed in any of the 3 categories that refer to the box. About red sanders distribution, endemic to tropical dry deciduous forest of Eastern Ghats and referred to as the Pride of Eastern Ghats. Conservation status, IUCN Red List Endangered, CITES Appendix 2, Wildlife Protection Act, Schedule 4. Other feature, plant's heartwood is heavily impregnated with red dye called santalin, for which it is valued. CITES, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, is an international agreement between governments. Its aim is to ensure that international trade in specimens of wild animals and plants does not threaten the survival of the species. The 5th of July, 12, Tropical Timber. 59th Council Session of the International Tropical Timber Organization, ITTO, concluded recently. The objective of the session was to promote sustainable tropical forest management activities. Also, it emphasized on ensuring the trade of sustainably produced tropical timber. Tropical forests are a major source of timber. Tropical timber includes logs, sawnwood, veneer sheets and plywood. Tropical forests represent 45% of all forests. These are situated between the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. Main tropical forest includes Amazon rainforest, Congo Basin, etc. Major uses of tropical timber. Construction, in houses, railway sleepers, the piers, and jetties, etc. Fuel, in both domestic and industries. Other uses, production of paper, synthetic textile fabrics like rayon, etc. Major threats to sources of tropical timber. Deforestation, due to land use change to agriculture, and urbanization, illegal logging, and wood fuel collection. Forest degradation, it is due to wildfires, climate change, etc. Initiatives for tropical timber. International Tropical Timber Agreement, ITTA, 2006. ITTO's Strategic Action Plan, 2022 to 2026. ITTO, a Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD, Collaborative Initiative for Tropical Forest Biodiversity. Intergovernmental Panel and Forum on Forests, the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, UNCTAD, 1992. The 5th of July, 13, NOA Dying Music Frog. Biologists from Wildlife Institute of India have discovered the new species of music frog in the Namdapha landscape of Arunachal Pradesh. The species is named after the Noah Dihing River. 74 www.visioneers.nwa.visioneers.in Copyright symbol Vision I. Noah Dihing River, it is a tributary of Brahmaputra River. Key features of frog genus, Nidorana, first-time frog of this species are found in India. Characterized by a pale cream-colored line on the mid-body with rounded snouts and bony protrusions on their backs. They are referred as music frogs because of their unique call pattern. The 5th of July, 14, Himalayas vulnerability to landslides. An under-construction Silkyarabakat tunnel in Uttarakhand's Uttarkashi collapsed due to a landslide. Silkyarabakat tunnel will connect Yamunotri on the south end to Darasu on the north end. It is part of Char Dam, all-weather road project. Tunnel is being built in an area comprising limestone and other soft rocks that have a tendency to collapse. Why are Himalayas more prone to landslides? Natural reasons. Earthquakes resulting from tectonic activity can trigger landslides, heavy rainfall can saturate the soil and weaken rock formations. Climate change-induced warming can lead to permafrost thawing. Anthropogenic construction of dams, roads, and other significant infrastructure changes the natural stability of slopes. Deforestation, irrigation, mining activities, etc. The 5th of July, 15, Historic flooding swamp Somalia. Once-in-a-century flooding swamp Somalia after historic drought, according to UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, UNOCHA. The heavy seasonal rainfall has been worsened due to the combined impact of two climate phenomenons, El Niño and the Indian Ocean Dipole, IOD, as per UNOCHA. Across the Horn of Africa, El Niño and a positive IOD are associated with above-normal rains and flooding. El Niño, it is a climate pattern associated with the warming of the ocean surface temperatures in the central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean. Generally, El Niño occurs on average every 2 to 7 years. It can lead to a weakening of the monsoon circulation over the Indian subcontinent. IOD, also known as Indian Nino, IOD refers to the difference in sea surface temperature between the eastern and western sides of the Indian Ocean. It has 3 phases. Positive, the western side is warmer than the eastern side. Negative, cooler western side and warmer eastern side. Neutral, temperatures are close to normal across the Indian Ocean. About UNOCHA, it is responsible for bringing together humanitarian actors to ensure a coherent response to emergencies. 75 www.visioneers.nwa.visioneers. The 5th of July, 16, Cyclone Mathili. According to recent IMD update, the cyclone storm Mathili, after crossing Bangladesh coast, weakened into a deep depression and later into a depression. Cyclonic storm is cyclonic disturbance in which the maximum average surface wind speed is in range of 34 to 47 knots, 62 to 88 kilometers per hour. In deep depression, maximum sustained wind speed lies in the range 28 to 33 knots, 50 to 61 kilometers per hour. Depression is a cyclonic disturbance in which maximum sustained surface wind speed is between 17 and 33 knots, 31 and 61 kilometers per hour. The 5th of July, 17, seismic earthquake swarms. Iceland has been hit by more than 5,500 small earthquakes. About seismic swarms. These are sequences of many earthquakes that occur in a relatively short period without a specific main shock. It can last weeks and produce many thousands of earthquakes within a relatively small volume. These are observed in volcanic environments, hydrothermal systems, and other active geothermal areas. Iceland is Europe's largest and most active volcanic region due to its presence on the Mid-Atlantic ridge. 76 www.visioneers.nwa.visioneers.in Copyright symbol Vision IAS.